Right. Huh? Say what, honey? Yeah, I'm thankful for that, because it's crazy. You're right, just like when you're on stage.
Next up, we're trying to make it go first.
Why did they do that?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Jacqueline Luqman, and I am the moderator for Plymouth Congregational United Church of Christ. Moderator is just a fancy title for the person in the congregation who is not the pastor, who gets to tell the pastor what to do, pretty much. That's what I do. Not sure how they decided I should be the one to have this position, but he let it happen. He meaning Reverend Graylan Hagler, who is actually giving quick remarks over at the Lenten service over in the sanctuary. So he is going to finish his comments over in the sanctuary and run over here. But I want to thank you for coming out tonight for the second anniversary commemoration of the organization of the Black Alliance for Peace. And I have to tell you, I'm very, very proud to be not just a member of this organization, but for some reason, Ajamu Baraka and Netha Freeman and other members of this organization have seen fit to allow my husband and myself to have a very active role in all of the wonderful work that we do. And that's really important to me because I have been an admirer of Ajamu Baraka for a very long time. I try not to get fangirly about, so-called famous people. But when I interviewed him for a small online outlet a few years ago when he was running as vice presidential candidate for the Green Party, when he accepted the invitation to interview him, I looked at the email and I squealed like a child. I did. And then when I had my first conversation with him, it was supposed to be an interview, but it turned into a conversation because I was so excited that I actually said stuff that that man agreed with. So from that one interview, we developed this really, really great relationship based on just his long history of amazing humanitarian work and the work against capitalism and imperialism. And my husband and I, are very fortunate that we belong to a church in which our pastor is just as radical as we are, who is not afraid or ashamed of the word radical. If he could, he'd put it in the name of the church, but we belong to a denomination. So what we could do was put a Black Lives Matter sign out front. That's what we could do. But Reverend Hagler is a cornerstone of resistance and protest and standing up for the rights of oppressed people in this city. I'm not just saying that because he's my pastor, and he's also our friend. But yes, absolutely. A few things that you might not know about Reverend Hagler in this church: the senior center that's on the corner, right across the street, is the result of a 10-year battle that Reverend Hagler waged against Exxon. They wanted to build a gas station on the corner. And he said, we don't need another gas station. And he said he pulled some people off the street, went to the liquor store, gave a couple of guys standing in front of the liquor store a couple bucks and said, y'all gonna come down to the corner on North Capitol Ridge Road and y'all gonna stand in front of this bulldozer with me. And he gave them like $5, $10 each, and they did. And that is how a 10-year protest against Exxon building a gas station that nobody in this community needed started, and it ended with the capitulation of the behemoth Exxon giving up the fight for that property and calling Reverend Hagler and saying, okay, fine, what do you want? What do you want? And that's how the beginning of that development of the senior center started. Recently, he spearheaded the fight to ratify Initiative 77 in this city, to pay tipped workers at least the minimum wage. And we all know what happened in this city, city council voting to overturn what voters in this city voted for. Reverend Hagler got a bunch of people, got some petitions out, got people to sign petitions, went to court to sue the city to recognize the vote. And I will never forget, at a Martin Luther King Jr. Day prayer breakfast at somebody else's church, Jack Evans, council member Jack Evans, and a few other council members were in attendance, and Reverend Hagler proceeded, and our friend Sean Blackman is sitting there nodding his head because he was there to witness. Reverend Hagler proceeded to tell these people at the church prayer breakfast with all the nice holy people, you can't disrespect the vote, Jack Evans. You can't disrespect the vote, Trayon White. And he did this, he just went down the list of all the council members who were there, telling them that they were wrong for disrespecting the vote of district residents, of poor district residents, for black district residents. So Reverend Graylan Hagler is not one to shy away from the work of standing up for oppressed people. He's not one to shy away from challenging authority. One day you'll have to hear him tell you the story about how he chained himself to a fence in front of a construction site in Roxbury, in Boston, so that the construction company would hire local workers. He is not one who is afraid to fight for the self-determination of all oppressed people around the world. And as a member of Plymouth Congregational United Church of Christ, I am proud that you are here tonight, that we are here to host you here. And we really do hope that you not just take a lot from this event, but that you come back and visit us and join in this work with us. So he's still over there talking. He talks more than I do, if you can believe that. So I'm going to have to go get him, but in the meantime...
Solidarity statements, and then when he comes in, you will pull them off.
All right, so we have some statements that we would like to share with you from some friends of Black Alliance for Peace. But right now, I would like to introduce to you Sister Jaribu Hill. She is the founder and executive director of the Mississippi Workers Center for Human Rights, the founder of the Southern Human Rights Organizing Conference, and a member and a friend of Black Alliance for Peace. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sister Jaribu.
Look at the soft, weak applause. What? What's up? What's going on? I'm not going to be free with the quiet, polite, soft-spoken stuff, the cute stuff. You got to get down into it. You can't be cute. You got to be a resistor. You got to be bold. You got to be rude and crude with it. How you doing? Jacqueline another hand. Come on, that wasn't good enough. Give her another hand. We're going to ask Jacqueline to invite to the electronic screens and audio two solidarity speakers that we are privileged to have with us, Cornell West and Marielle Fanon, who is France Fanon's daughter. So she's going to be in the house, and so is Cornell, by way of electronic liberation. So Jacqueline, take it away, Jacqueline.
Good evening. My name is Jacqueline Luqman. I'm reading the statement from Marielle Fanon-Mendes. I'm sorry. Okay. Some countries continue to deconstruct and delegitimize relentlessly international law and especially by not respecting the United Nations Charter in the case of Venezuela. By defying the right of peoples to the right of their sovereignty, the United States and its little poodles, including France, are ignoring this right, acquired in blood by people too long colonized and living under the barbarity of their occupants. They prefer to foment coups, starve, and entire people rather than give up their predatory projects, among others for the United States, get their hands on Venezuelan oil. To do this leads for it to impose a blockade around this country, even starving and thirsting an entire people. The aim is to break the project of the Bolivarian Revolution, which brings social transformations for a large part of the Venezuelan people, hitherto ignored and invisible by the many successive governments. To achieve this, they call on a puppet who has no legitimacy. They accuse the Venezuelan president, ministers, and diplomats of corruption without any proof. Their goal is to build a negative image of Venezuela. Only the current government would be responsible for the humanitarian crisis in the country. Once again, they want to make believe that the only way out is the military invasion. Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Ivory Coast were not enough for them. They want to repeat the same scenario of interference in the name of the responsibility to protect. We know they're designed, and we know very well that they only want to hand over resources they have always considered as their exclusive property. By whom are human rights violated? Who violates the fundamental right of the right to life? Is it not those who organize the blockade of food or medicine?
Right.
Is it not those who hold the money of a country hostage pending its bankruptcy? Did they have not already established that to others, including Haiti? It is up to them to demand accountability. The victims of this blockade will have to go to the International Criminal Court of Justice for crimes against humanity. Fortunately, despite terrible difficulties to surmount, the Venezuelan people resist. Not only for him, but also for the whole of Latin America. He is also convinced that his sovereignty is priceless and that his country is not for sale to the strongest dominant. If he falls, the last bulwark against Western hegemony will fall and South America will become the suburbs of North America. We who are defenders of justice, truth, and solidarity in the face of the stakes playing out on Venezuelan soil, we can only denounce these predatory, liberticidal projects that undermine the founding principles of the Charter. We can only denounce the fact that these projects are once again on the backs of the Venezuelan people, instrumentalized by those who claim to care of. Let us not kid ourselves and do not deceive ourselves, enemies. Let's affirm our support for the Venezuelan people. Let's stay up with the Venezuelan people. Y viva el pueblo venezolano libre. In closing, I want to congratulate the Black Alliance for Peace on their 2nd anniversary. I stand with Black Alliance for Peace in its continued fight against capitalism, imperialism, and global oppression enforced by white supremacist militarism.
Right. Yeah. Now I would like to bring up Reverend Hagler, revolutionary, man of faith, brother, family.
Thank you all. And again, congratulations to the Black Alliance for Peace on the 2nd anniversary. And I welcome you here to Plymouth Church. And you can see we're in the midst of a whole lot of construction, and we just thank you for being tolerant of us as you come here and gather, because what we're doing is not just sort of expanding space, but we're trying to make sure our space is accessible in the long run. So there's going to be elevators in that's already being put in, and lifts and ramps and all of those other types of things, because we believe that everybody should be able to come in and nobody should be able to be excluded under any circumstances. And that really comes down to us, how we build the movement. We got to build the movement that brings all sisters and brothers together who are in the midst of struggle, and not exclude anyone for any particular reason, to knock down the barriers and open up the cause for liberation and the cause for freedom and hope. So I want to thank you for being here. I just want to say this as I just sort of move off. I've been, last June, 9 faith folk were locked up for praying in front of the Supreme Court. And I was one of them. And we were praying on the day that the Supreme Court ruled that Ohio could purge its voting rolls. So we prayed in front of the Supreme Court. We were locked up and we were held for over 36 hours. And the agreement for being released was that we had to surrender our passports. So the federal court still has my passport, and I still got to report to the court every single week. And we have not had a trial yet. And it's supposed to be all resolved when the trial happens, and the trial was supposed to be May. Now they're trying to push it to October to make sure that we just don't get our passport back. And in other words, we've been convicted before we ever had a trial. But we understand we should not be surprised. That's the way the United States of America is. When you stand up for justice, and when you stand up and oppose this system and the oligarchies in this country, then you are held accountable for a different standard. But that makes us have to be the warriors that we're called to be, to stand up for justice no matter how folks threaten us, no matter what people do to us. We got to be the people that are standing on the consciousness of power, and power comes out of an ability to stand against all odds. And when we stand against all odds and we do not separate ourselves from one another over little sectarian things, that's when we win. So let's win.